Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. All right. Well, let me give you the date today. It's February 22nd, 2024. Now, during yesterday's show, I told you that I went into Stellarium to see what the sky will look like during the eclipse and comet coming up in a few weeks. And this is it. Now, I couldn't believe this because here's the eclipse here. Let's zoom in on this. Here's the actual eclipse here. Let's figure out this time thing here. Let's see here. Let's do this. As it approaches the sun here, makes this time go up here. There we go. Now, the vantage point that I'm showing you here is from Arkansas. But the important thing to see here is that this eclipse has several alignments all going on at the same time. Those alignments are all of the planets in a line. Now I'm going to try to make this so you can see this. This is unbelievable. All the planets in the sky line up with the eclipse as well as the comet. Here's the comet here, Pons Brooks. And as you can see, it's in alignment with Jupiter. Even the Pleiades, we've been talking a lot about the Pleiades, right? There's Venus, there's Saturn, Mars. Let's take a look at these planets here. There's Saturn, Mars, there's Neptune. It's all in a line with the eclipse. There's Mercury, Jupiter, the Comet, and the Pleiades, and Uranus. Now, how often does this happen? This ecliptic alignment of all the planets. And just so you know, typically what you're going to see on any other given night is these planets all over the place, like some up here, some down here, some way off the screen. Because remember, Saturn has what we're told is a very wide orbit around the sun. I don't believe all that, but this is what they tell us. And so what you see in the sky is this all over the place. It's very rare to get this kind of alignment, especially with a comet. So we've been talking a lot about fire and ice, right? Fire eclipse and the frozen comet ice. And I'm going to take you on a journey today. And as we try to figure this out and what all this means, I've got a montage put together of all the comet decodes we did going back to 2013. And you're going to hear a very different Enter the Stars. Okay, for those of you that have been on the channel for a while, you've seen the progression of this channel. You've seen even my maturity level increase over the years, and us basically dialing in and zeroing in on some of these topics. You've seen things manifest that we've been talking about, and this is why you still come to the channel, because it's all guided by the Most High and the Holy Spirit. So, we're going to go back to 2013, and when I was putting together this montage yesterday and editing it together, I couldn't even believe some of the stuff we had covered. Let's check in with you guys, and we're going to get started on this hour-long montage. Good morning, everybody. Thanks, Zelle, for joining the channel membership. Thank you so much. Well, let's take a look and try to piece all this together. So, most of what you're going to see here is from 2013. There is one segment in here that's a little bit newer, and you'll hear the difference in my voice. Let's go ahead and get started. And I'll maybe be interjecting in parts of this. This is unbelievable what we uncovered. This definitely looks like a scorpion. So first of all, these are the Great Pyramids at Giza. And what you're going to see here, here's the north orientation here. This would be south. This would be west, and this is east. So if we've got west here, in this direction, and we look at the orientation of the pyramids here,
And you can clearly see that this is actually the sun rises in the east and sets in the west. This is a setting sun, not a rising sun.
So this is obviously one of the very first decodes we did in 2013, looking at Comet ISON. Comet ISON. And we were trying to piece together iPetGoat 2. That's how long iPetGoat 2 has been around. At the final scene of iPetGoat 2, where the pyramids are destroyed. Let's keep watching here.
So, with a setting sun, sunset, setting in the west, we now have a Scorpio alignment. I'm going to show you that. Stellarium. Now if we look, here's Scorpio, okay? In the west, we have Venus aligning with Scorpio. But this, what I found most profound. If you look back at iPetGoat, you see a violin bow in the sky here. And I thought, what does that mean? It must mean something. Okay? Well, I did a search on violin and ISON. What we came up with was this gentleman here. And you could do the same search for yourself.
Now, I copied and pasted this part of the decode montage because, as you can see, this concept of lewd, which means crazy or rabies or zombie, even came up all the way back in 2013. And this is what I couldn't believe. Let's keep watching here. Remember, this is associated with comets, frozen pathogens.
Simply violin and ISON, and you come up with this album, Triangolo. Now, it has the word ISON in it and violin. Here is another side. We see the album here. We see the song ISON. It was actually recorded or written in 2003. We saw Scorpio on the horizon setting in the west from Giza, 2003. We have Venus aligned with it. The song is also 7 minutes and 7 seconds long.
Now here's where we get into some of these 77 synchronicities going back on the channel to 2013, which pointed forward to Donald Trump, who had not been elected yet. Watch it very closely.
This looks a lot like a pyramid to me. And I stumbled upon this commercial, and I'm going to cover that with you today. First, we're going to watch this commercial, and then we're going to slow it down, and I'm going to take it apart piece by piece so that you can see all of the synchronicity there is with regards to ISON that was not discovered until 2012. Yet this commercial was published on August 27th, 2007, exactly 6 years before the dawning of Comet ISON on our horizon.
You just heard me say dawning. Obviously, the Holy Spirit was speaking about the coming president who would bring the pathogen and bring the cure. Now, in this decode of this commercial, they talk about a red door painted black. Those are concepts that manifested later on the channel as well. You're also going to see the IT virus. You're going to see 777, which ended up being Donald Trump, and death comets. All this was revealed back in 2013.
And I'll be showing you that later in this video. Okay, so we'll watch.
Rugby racing and rugby racing and rugby racing and beer.
My greetings to you, the rugby universe. I'm afraid there's no other option but to burden the evil wizard Mortlock and the Republic of Meat Eaters with bad news. The alternative rugby commentary Rugby World Cup Tour is on!
Is on. Ice on.
That's right, London. You asked for it, and now by Christ you're gonna
Get it. It.
I'm coming to paint the town black.
Paint the town black.
7 massive opportunities, 7 massive games of rugby, 7 massive piss-ups, and
777. President Trump. This all has to do with the it virus.
7 the number of the man himself, Captain Tackles McCaw. Coincidence? No way. It's going to be rugby heaven in London. But where in London? Well, to blow the Rugby World Cup party through the we've gone and got ourselves TNT. Yes, TNT magazine has taken over the ground in Clapham, and the alternative rugby commentary is going to be there live. Piss drinkers and rugby fans, it's a dream come true. The alternative rugby commentary with the Jedi live from the ground in Clapham. Pick up the TNT for details. Get them behind!
Rugby race.
Or listen in with the Rugby Universe at arcrugby.co.nz.
Okay, you guys, the first thing I want you to notice is a checkerboard floor with the Illuminati and the pyramid with the all-seeing eye on the door. Now the camera pans into the room here, and I want you to look to the left, and I want you to look at the clock on the wall with 9 and 11 on the clock, and there's also a Saturn on the left-hand side behind that board. You're going to have to rewind that if you didn't catch that right away. There's no other option. What does that mean? The evil wizard. There's our lightning bolt. There's the all-seeing eye on the Mortlock in the letter O. Bad news. See all the imagery here? Ice on. There it is. Remember, this released on August 27th, 2007, before Comet Ison's passing. Here we have a reference to Christ. Christ, you're going to get it. I'm coming to paint the town black. So Christ is going to get it, and they're going to paint the town black. And there's your sevens. 7. There's 4 of them here. Normally we're seeing 3 sevens, but in this case we see 4. Now it forms some kind of a pattern, so let's keep our eyes peeled for that. He's the black angel. See the wings there? Black angel of Satan. Coincidence? No. They're calling out Ison before it happened. Rugby heaven, New World Order evil.
You guys, this is a comet that came through in 1347. Exactly 666 years to the day in a few months. I'm just going to read this. This is a history textbook, and it chronicles the history of air, weather, seasons, and meteors in sundry places and different times in the last 250 years. It is by Thomas Short, and I'll put a link in the description. You are not going to believe what you are going to hear right now.
So then we realized that these comets were either bringing death, or we were told they were bringing death. So here's another 2013 video we did talking about how the plague or the Black Death was brought about by comets. Let's keep watching here.
Here we go. We are now come to the third general plague after our Savior, which certainly was the greatest, most universal and mortal, Noah's flood excepted, that ever ravaged this globe. It has never had a parallel before nor since, and we may observe that we have more particular history of it than of any that preceded it. For as it gifted every inhabited corner of the earth, of every nation or people that understood letters, kept records of it, as it was the most universal and mortal, it was most remarkable for the previous warnings given of its coming, for it surprised not an unwarned world. Mankind had sufficient notices of its approach from all the elements, as well as from the specialty of its rife. It was observable that though it was general, yet neither emperor, king, prince, lord, governor, nor any prime magistrate of any nation died of it, but as clergy, deemed to be principal procurers of it by their licentiousness, they and the herd of the vulgar, deluded and drawn into practical atheism by their example, were the greatest sufferers. This scourge was foretold in the year 1316 or 17 by Robert Fryer, that God would avenge the simony, sloth, luxury, lust, and covetousness of the clergy shortly, and it as remarkably came to pass. For the preaching brethren in Avignon died 358, in Montpellier out of 140 only 7 remained, and in Magdala 7 also went, and 140. Go on to the next page. Of 150 minorities, only 1 was left. Of the Carmelites in Avignon died 46 before people knew what was the matter. Of the English Hermites, not 1 survived. Of this plague died 12,444,334 barefooted monks. And of the Carthusian monks died, and of all left of the clergy in proportion. A conjunction and an eclipse happened in 1345. Judicial astrologers pretended to foretell some mighty and fatal events to follow, but it's easy predicting what we know is already begun, as this plague was 4 years before. Not but that each country had its own shocking premonitors, as in Ireland in 42, October the 11th at Dublin, were seen 2 moons at once. In England, the year that it came hither, September the 28th, 1347, it rained from Christmas till midsummer, without one fair day, great floods. In France, besides the rains, and in Algolf was seen the terrible comet called Negra, and December appeared over Avignon for the space of an hour, pillar of fire, the sun being up. There were many and great earthquakes, tempests, thunders, and lightnings.
Did you catch that? In France, beside the rains, we were seeing a terrible comet called Negra. In December, there was a pillar of fire. So there's your fire and ice. This was back in 2013, you guys. That's 11 years ago. We did this video.
Several towns, villages, mountains, and thousands of people were swallowed up. The courses of the rivers were stopped. Some chasms in the earth sent forth blood as at Villac. Terrible showers of hail, each stone weighing from 1 pound to 8. Abortions in all countries. In Germany it rained blood. France, blood engulfed out the graves of the dead and rained in the rivers. Comets, meteors, fire beams, bifurcations in the air, Mach funds.
More fire and ice. Comets and fire beams. This is a historical record of a close approach of a comet.
The heavens on fire. In Lamech in Upper Aphia it rained blood 3 days together, but a particular detail of the general and particular premonitors of this judgment, and the particular sufferings of the clergy by it, were too great a subject for one whole volume. Soon after the raining of blood at Lamech, it began at Cadia, and in the neighborhoods near the Great Sea. But whether it arose in India, Scythia, Tartary, or Arabia, it went sweeping along through the Indians, Sarkans, Turks, Syrians, Palestinians, and so on and so forth, in every land of the archipelago. Then it came to Greece, overrun Europe. So are you guys getting the picture? We will stop there. But this is a historical document that outlines the coming of a comet in 1347. exactly 666 years ago, on September 28th, 1347.
But it seems that we have inadvertently called out the prediction of the triangular shape of Comet Ison in an album cover that happened 10 years ago, almost to the day. But first of all, we're going to look at imagery of Comet Ison, and that is a perfect triangular shape.
So at this point, we realized that we had pretty much predicted the shape of the comet before it had actually even been visualized by scientists with that album cover that I showed you in the previous video. So that's what this is about. Let's keep watching here.
This just came out within the last week, and now I will show you the video that we put out on July 19th of this year, foreshadowing the coming of Comet Ison in a triangular shape on an album cover. I'm going to let this play. Name search for yourself. Simply violin and Ison. You come up with this album, Triangulo. So there you guys go. This is unbelievable. You need to share this with everybody that you can and talk about how they knew about Comet Ison 10 years ago. The night of the comet.
Now we're going to look at the night of the comet. This is another really old decode, probably 2013, circa 2013, 2014.
What are you waiting for? Can I see him?
We're waiting for the light to change.
We do not cross against the light. Are you nuts, Aunt Regina? You may as well face the facts, Samantha. The whole burden of civilization has fallen upon us. What's that supposed to mean? It means we do not cross against the light. That's totally stupid! There's nobody here! See? We're talking ghost town! See what happens?
God, I'm sorry, but you shouldn't cross against the light like that. Hey, you guys are survivors too, huh? What?
Nothing. Great car.
Thanks, I have 23 of them. You want to go for a ride?
More than you know.
We don't know anything about this guy. Where's he from? What's his name?
What's your name?
Danny Mason Keener.
Danny Mason Keener, okay? Yeah, all right. Well, just be back by midnight, okay?
Midnight?
The burden of civilization is on us, okay?
Oh, yeah. Bitchin', isn't it?
Now, this is interesting. He was driving a 380 Mercedes-Benz. Mercedes-Benz started to make the 380 in 1933.
So these are some of our early decodes. There he's driving into the pyramid building in a Mercedes.
Let's take a closer look at who DMK is.
Wait a minute. Somebody named DMK in sixth place? When did this happen?
Look, don't be an overachiever. You'll fit in better with your age group, okay?
This is really annoying.
So
Regina.
what is this game she's playing in the movie? It's actually a game called Tempest. And here's some shots, screenshots from the movie. Forms a heart there. There's a high score in there as well. And we're going to get into that high score and what it means. But first, let's take a look at Tempest. So in the beginning of the movie, you see her playing the game Tempest. If you didn't recognize the nameplate, here are some pictures of this vintage game that was created by Atari in 1981. Now, what is a tempest? A tempest is a violent or windy storm. In other words, a tornado.
Now I'm interrupting myself because now we also know that a tempest is a portal. It's a tornado. It's a spiral, right? So that's new information.
Now, score, the high score, we see the numbers 2, 9, 6, 8, 4, 4. When you convert that decimal to degrees latitude, you get 29 degrees, 41 minutes, and 3.84 seconds. Do you believe that 29.6844 or 29 degrees, 41 minutes, and 3.84 seconds falls? This is the coordinate. And this is the pentagram of death that we identified a few months ago. And this coordinate falls right at the bottom of the pentagram in the Gulf of Mexico.
So DMK in that movie, Night of the Comet, was the sixth man, the sixth part of man, adding himself to the perfect family. He's the Mercury, the Mercedes.
And the synchronicity just keeps continuing on and on and on. So I did a search on the little golden calf and Comet, and the very first search result, a direct hit from the book The Little Golden Calf, which is the Russian novel that we just covered in our last video. And they mention a comet in the book. Let's read. It says, "Night, night, night lay over all the land in the port of Chernomorsk. Cranes were turning smoothly, dropping steel slings into the foreigners' deep holds, and turning again to release pine crates of machinery for the Kharkov tractor factory onto the wharf with a mother cat's loving care. A pink flame roared like the tail of a comet."
Pink flame, fire, comet, ice. Are you seeing the pattern now, going back all these years?
Out of the silicate factories, tall smokestacks, the star clusters of the Dnieper hydroelectric station, Magnitogorsk and Stalingrad burned. The star of the red Putilov machinery plant rose in the north, and after it, a great multitude of first magnitude stars lit up. There were factories, plants, electric stations, and construction sites. The entire 5-year plan was glowing. Fifth Age, its brilliance drowning out the familiar old sky that had been around since the Egyptians. This is unbelievable. So, what does this mean, you guys? This book was written in 1931.
Hey guys, enter the stars, and welcome to the age of the Christmas comets. The Christmas comets, we had Ison, that was in 2013, which reached our skies during Christmas time, and now we have Comet Catalina. Now, many of you have asked me to take a look at these comets and in keeping our eyes to the sky, trying to understand how all this fits in. Now, we're going to go deep in the rabbit hole today, and this is going to be a fascinating video. Comet Catalina was discovered on Halloween 2013. Now, I didn't know this. I'm looking at this decode we did, but back then, people always criticized me. They're like, why don't you ever get on Obama? Well, we did hundreds of Obama videos during his presidency. The whole point is both presidents are compromised. We roasted Obama the same way we roast Trump now, and Biden as well. Biden's just another Obama, basically. But anyway, back then we realized that Obama's birthday was 88 days away from Halloween. Deep in the rabbit hole today, and this is going to be a fascinating video. Comet Catalina was discovered on Halloween 2013. Now, many of you have asked me to take a look at iPetGoat and look at the scene in the classroom where we had discovered that a comet and that CERN were involved in this process. Now, this is the scene in the classroom. This is Lily. And what you see on the wall here is the horned god Cernunnos with golden droplets falling away from him. This here is symmetry. Now when you look at the images for symmetry, they match exactly what is going on here. Symmetry, CERN. Here are the images. And here you see a dance in a circle. And you see the man outside of the circle. This is the black man. So this is obviously also the Hierophant image. So this was back in 2013, you guys. You've probably seen a lot of this stuff copied by other channels. And that's fine, at least the word's getting out. But these are the concepts that we'd found all the way back to the beginning. This is the Hierophant logo with the comet outside of the eclipse. And we have the white in the middle. Let's pull that up for you guys. So here it is here. There's the eclipse and the comet outside of it in the Hierophant logo. Let's keep going here. Let me check in with you guys. Make sure we're good. All right. Very good. Let's keep going here. Shocking. Now, the reason why we're revisiting this, you guys, is because we are in the age of the comets. The Christmas comets under Obama's presidency. And the entire scene that we see on Hierophant's website is Obama in the classroom. Now, these people have admitted here, only after the events of Sandy Hook, did I realize that what I had seen was Obama's classroom. A ritual sacrifice of children on the part of the shadow government, designed to strike terror into the nation. Now, they have since removed this statement from their website, but it was at one time said that they literally predicted it before it happened. This came out in 2012 in June, and then December 14th, 2012 was when Handy Sook happened. This released before Sandy Hook. They're admitting that they foreshadowed the event. This is why we are taking another look at this. Now, early on in the existence of this channel, we had discovered many other synchronicities and foreshadowings from this short film, iPetGoat. If you have not seen it, it may be time to take a look at it. Now, this is Lily. They are telling us who this is. Now, what happens next is she will drop this apple, and it will roll across the floor. CERN is set up into a torque field, the wires torquing around a giant accelerator collider, torquing about one another and spinning until they collide. And the torque rings are on the horns of the horned god Cernunnos. Also, a torque is a torus field, a Coriolis field, which spins around and on top of itself, like the Coriolis effect of our weather patterns on Earth. And those torque fields create a core, a Coriolis, the core of an apple. Pictures of the torus field. Looks like a tree with limbs. This is the basis of our entire reality. We are made in the image of God, so God must look like this. Basically, your crown of your head, the trunk of your body, and your limbs, which are your arms and legs, and you setting down roots, dropping your seed, and this is why fruit looks like our body. I mean, we all know the jokes, right? That fruit looks like the body because we are the fruit. The Bible says, be fruitful and fill the earth. This is the general shape of a human being, is a fruit or a tree. Trees have the same image as a fruit does, as you can see here. Branches, limbs, and roots that go down under the earth, above and below the torus field. This is what God must look like. We are made in his image. Let's keep watching here. And so this girl seems possessed as she drops this apple and rolls it across the floor. We see that if we take this dot and run it through the center of this circle, it points directly to the Cernunnos stag god on the wall. So it's telling us that Cernunnos is in fact Cern. We also, in the background, there's an S back here and an H, like Sandy Hook. This is the rabbit hole. So we're seeing the possession of Cern, the core, the Coriolis, which is what Cern is, a giant apple, trying to recreate God on earth, trying to recreate life, trying to recreate consciousness. Now, this is the scene, and we see Obama bent over, laughing and chuckling. The apple rolls across the floor. We are in the age of the Christmas comets, which have two separate tails. Ison had two separate tails, and so does Catalina. There's your two tails. There's your Christmas comet. And this comet has three tails. So we had two, and a 3 tails. Ison, Catalina, and the Devil Comet has 3 tails. What's that backwards? 322.
And there is Obama's foot. It opens here. Now here's the creepy part.
Now, the foot, Obama's foot over this coin pointed back to that story I read earlier in this decode called The Golden Calf, the Little Golden Calf, the Russian book that was written out of the Ukraine, which we're dead center in right now, right? And so in that book, as I just read a little bit earlier, there was a mention of a comet. Are you seeing how all of this is fitting together now? Let's keep watching here.
Count the middle part of this flower that opens. There are 12. And when you count the petals, there are 25. 12, 25 is Christmas. The age of the Christmas comets. Now, some of these comets weren't even discovered when this video came out. So right there's foreshadowing. 12 in the middle and 25 around the outside. That flower that you're looking at now is from the Aurora, Colorado shooting memorial. And this was the Aurora, Colorado memorial. This was after the iPad Goat video was released. And there you see the lotus flower with the spinning seeds atop it. This is what you are looking at. The Aurora, Colorado shooting and Sandy Hook. Premeditated murder. On display in an animation that released 88 days after the 88th day of the year in 2012. Before even Comet Ison was discovered, or Catalina. And the term polar vortex had not even been coined yet. Yet we see the snowy landscape that we are being faced with now.
So, pretty major discoveries made early on in the channel. So it's funny, people say, how are you still on YouTube? Well, obviously, we should have way more subscribers based on some of this stuff, right? But it is what it is, and we're here. At least we're still here. And we'll reach as many people as we can. Now, this next decode is from the film Coherence, and this is also about a close approaching comet that causes something very strange to happen on Earth. Now, let me check in with you guys, and we'll keep going with this. Wow. All right, everybody's good. Okay, let's keep watching here. This one's a little bit more recent, probably 2015, 2016. Look at this. They even have the comet dust all over the movie cover poster. Watch this. 88 minutes long.
I went to the window and I looked in the window and I saw a table with wine glasses.
There's someone out there.
What?
There's someone out there.
What?
Oh my God.
Oh, there's a
Please.
He's walking away.
Baby. No.
So there's these 8 people at a dinner party as a comet is approaching, and they realize that they've been cloned, that there's been a dark side counterpart, a twin. There are 8 other individuals that look just like them that come to the house. 8 and 8, 88. Let's keep watching.
Candles and dinner set for 8 people. I saw.
Oh my God.
Right, okay. Side door? You went around to the side door at the other house.
They wouldn't answer the front door, so I went to the side door and I knocked.
You dipshits walked in a circle.
Hey there. Don't mean to freak you guys out, but we just wanted to borrow your phone.
Here we get fire and ice. They're carrying ice-colored glow sticks, and the other 8 are carrying red glow sticks.
We're both alive and dead. So there are 2 separate realities. And
Alive and dead, the undead, zombies.
I mean, presumably until the comet passes.
Until the comet passes.
Okay.
Until the comet passes.
Okay. Or the coherence is maintained and those 2 separate realities will remain separate once the comet passes. Everybody will be fine.
How do we know it's exactly us? What if it's just externals? What if the dark side of
Decoherence keeps us separate.
Right.
What if it's the dark side of us, she said.
Why are the other us contacting us then in this way?
They didn't want to.
It's us.
You mean the not friendly version?
Well, if it's us, then this could be
It's us.
Is it a good thing? Who got the pictures? Who the numbers on the?
We started it. I guess we went to look to find a house with lights.
But they didn't mean the box. If we each roll a number for each of us, that's what? That's 6 times 6 times 6 times 6. That's hugely random. That's
Probability
like
666. Let's keep listening.
That repeating is.
And then what we...
Enter the stars, and I think we may have found the sign of the shepherd. The question is, was Jesus born on blind 11? Well, many biblical scholars have proven that this could very well be the case, that it's at least possible. But the shepherds and the wise men of Jesus' time surrounding the events of his birth saw a sign in the heavens. A simple star over Bethlehem alone isn't what proved Jesus was being born, because people see bright, strange stars every night. There must have been something else to this star. Now, for the shepherds, it was an angel bringing the news of Jesus' birth. But for the wise men, you have to ask yourself, did they follow the star because of where it appeared in the sky? You know, it's interesting that we just decoded the series The 100 just weeks before Biden mentioned that companies over 100 employees would be required to get the potion. But more importantly, a character called the Shepherd leads mankind in the series to the brink of oblivion. Now, this is the Auriga constellation, also known since antiquity to be the Shepherd constellation. Auriga's stars were known as a herd of goats. Now remember, we found that Auriga was the name of the person that was in a mask that won the race in that comic, Asterix and Obelisk. Auriga was the one that won the race, and he was riding with coronavirus, literally in the comic. So Auriga also means shepherd. Let's keep watching. And the Aurigid meteor showers originated from a 1911 comet that literally burst through the Shepherd constellation from late August to early September. Now, this doesn't happen every year, but when it does, it is a sight to see. So the question becomes, were the shepherds that were abiding in the field, keeping watch over their flock by night, were these actually the Auriga constellation and stars? Here's one of the binary stars in the star system. It's currently the longest period eclipsing binary known in the night sky. It appears as a dust disk and star. Was the comet debris from Comet Case 1911 actually the star in the east spoken of in the Bible? Or was the star in the east the Epsilon Aurigae binary star that brightens and dims every 27 years? Let's go to Stellarium and take a look. Here in Stellarium you see the Aurigid meteor shower inside the Shepherd. The Shepherd keeping watch over the flock, the stars. In the east, exactly where the Bible says it should be. This is what the night sky looked like in Bethlehem around the time of Jesus' birth. The meteors could have appeared within a very narrow window, between the end of August and the beginning of September at about 10 p.m. at night. And again, the source of these meteors is thought to be from Comet 1911, which last came around the sun about 80 years before this moment in the history of the birth of Christ. So you can imagine the meteors coming through the Shepherd may have been much brighter than our modern era. Or what if Comet 1911 is what appeared in the Shepherd constellation? Well, we weren't there, so we don't know, but it would make perfect sense, and maybe those were the signs that they saw in the sky that announced the coming of the Son of Man, Jesus Christ himself, Emmanuel, Yahushua. Now, how does all this translate into the Hebrew calendar? Well, the Aurigid meteor showers often fall on the Feast of Trumpets, which of course, according to the book of Leviticus, is a Sabbath day of rest. Jesus told us to place all of our burdens onto him, that he would be our rest. Take care and be safe, you guys.
It's been 48 hours since the mysterious ash began to fall throughout parts of the world. Debris that has now killed thousands of females and infected millions more. Struggled to contain the spread of this disease. Doctors have now verified trace amounts of the virus in at least a dozen human males.
NASA just announced that we should all be in for quite a show over the weekend. But before we get to all of that, we wanted to kick off today's show with a bit of cosmic news.
Cavino's Comet, Cavino's Comet, Cavino's Comet.
Will be taking its rare journey close to Earth.
Carolyn, I'm out of here. See you later.
Cavino's Comet will be.
Now, I can't remember the name of this movie. Oh, it's called, I can't remember the name of this movie that I decoded. But anyway, it was before COVID, and yet they have a comet called Covino Comet. Like COVID Comet.
Taking its rare journey close to Earth.
Carolyn, I'm out of here. See you later.
Up and down the east.
The House and Senate unanimously approved an increase in reward from $1 million to $2 million in the hopes that
$2 million.
More black goo, ash, comet mentions, disease. DNA tests.
What? You don't reckon they gonna pay? You tell me you turn in your wife, your daughter for $2 million? Not my daughter. I'm talking 1 or 2 eggs here. They're running a damn science experiment, a human chicken coop out there. You shouldn't be taking pictures like that. You're in front of the window. It's not safe. You know what they do to them, don't you? Yeah, they say it's safe. Yeah, they say it's safe. Yeah, they say it's safe.
as a result of experiments performed with
Okay, just a little bit. Just a little bit more.
Okay.
So the film is called Only. That's the name of the film that I just decoded. And we had discovered that the smiley face is also actually the womb. This is the war on the seed of the woman.
I've never seen anything like this before. I got her to quarantine as soon as it started. But quarantine? I've been trying to reach a friend.
Where do we go? What do we do?
You have to follow my instructions exactly.
Lots of pandemic symbolism. Lysol.
This will be over in a few weeks, but until then. This will be over in a few weeks, but until then.
2-week lockdown.
This
UV lights.
will be over in a few weeks, but until then, I'm gonna keep you safe.
You go to the store.
Masks.
What's with these lights?
The UV lights, baby. They kill pathogens and germs within a couple feet. When I come back from the store, when I come back from outside, we don't know what I'm bringing in. We don't know. Your dad was very clear with us. He told us the things that we had to do every single morning, what you had to do every single day.
This officially makes HNV-21 the fastest and deadliest epidemic in modern history. I'm not sure how else to report this. The death toll has clipped 10 million females today worldwide.
You and I both know how this goes. Day 1 is hemorrhaging. Day 2 is dizziness and loss of motor control. Ava! Day 4 is seizures and convulsions. If you make it that far.
I don't want any of this.
I'm waiting for you to wake up and realize that this is life now.
This is life now. This is life now. This is life now. This is life now.
All right, so let's get into some of this, you guys. Now, I found this. This was the original Comet Ping Pong logo. Now we're going to get into some pizza stuff, right? And basically, I had to go through and kind of edit out a lot of this because it's stuff we can't really talk about on YouTube anymore. But one thing I want you to notice is that this Comet logo, it represents male fluids. Let's just say that. It's from 2008, just after they opened. They've since simplified the logo to, and there you see the Eclipse imagery as well as Comet is ice, right? So you got fire and ice again to be this. And the reason why I'm bringing up Comet Ping Pong Pizza is because we're going to analyze this entire business from top to bottom in terms of the occult. And when we see images like this with Elliot walking with his pizza, and he pauses at the ping pong table before he has his first encounter with alien life, then our eyes begin to open. We're like, what is going on with pizzas and ping pong? And why are they keep showing this throughout film history? And now we have the keys to unlock what all this means because of current events. And now we can apply that knowledge backwards, right? Hindsight's 2020. Now, in this scene, this is Elliot's first encounter with ET, and he goes into a shed. So it's like he's being drawn underground, right, into the abyss. And he goes into the shed. He throws a ball into the shed just after the scene. Of course, ET throws the ball back at him. So there's your ping pong confirmation that they want you to remember this ping pong table. And remember, the ball or the apple that drops on the floor and rolls across in I Pet Goat 2. That ball, that apple, that ball that Elliot throws to ET has to represent the mixing of the seed. We saw the same thing in this brand new series called True Detective. The very last episode that we'll actually decode tomorrow, I'm going to show you how she drops an orange on the floor and it rolls across the floor. So we finally figured out what the fruit rolling across the floor means. It's the comet bringing on the mixing of the seed. Let's keep watching here. And then we go on to see what seems to be, now applying these sunglasses of knowledge, what seems to be a pedophile-child relationship between an alien and a young boy. Now to prove now to prove my point here, I had to bleep that out. Is that when E.T. essentially is feeding off of Elliot, he's feeding off of him in the movie. So when Elliot gets sick, E.T. gets sick. It's almost like he's harvesting energy off of him, right? And the name Elliot is, if you take the letters out of the middle, it says E.T. What letters do you remove? L-I-O, or oil, backwards, which is the black goo. It's the seed. Now we begin to understand that E.T. being all wrinkled and old looking, that means something compared to the young new boy. Now we understand when his finger lights up and glows and grows longer, now that we can start to understand that this might represent, along with E.T.'s ability to extend his neck like a giraffe. And we apply all that and the fact that the youngest boy in the entire film has the foulest mouth when he calls his brother penis. And how inappropriate that comment was in this film when it could have been such a beautiful film had they left that one part out. Now we begin to understand what all this probably means. Now there's another, to confirm all this, there's another ping pong table scene in a movie called Lolita. So that is why we're digging into Comet, because they seem to put together these two elements, or alien life, which I'm going to show you how this links in, because Comets, they're saying through the theory of panspermia that that alien life is spread around the universe through this theory of panspermia. And we're going to get into what that means, how it sounds just like ping pong balls bouncing off of one another, right? These are heavenly bodies, these are planetoids, these are comets, these are asteroids, these are meteors. And this is their theory as to how life is spread around the universe. We see now that he understands panspermia, and of course, what does this logo look like? A sperm. Okay. You guys starting to see what's going on here? Are we remembering the chalkboard from iPad Go? You see these drop light that look just like the Comet ping pong. And we saw the sweat rolling down Obama's head, but it wasn't really sweat. It was. So we got this image here. This is iPad Go from 2012. And these could conceivably be this. Okay. One of them rolls down the forehead of Barack Obama, who turned into him from this George Bush. George Bush turns into Barack Obama. So now we're starting to put all the puzzle pieces together. This is the old logo. And for those of you with eyes to see, you understand that not only is this a ping pong ball, but it's also a crescent moon. So there you go, which confirms their knowledge of the crescent moon in their actual signage that's outside the front of the pizza place. It's got crescent moons on every corner. Now, what's up with this panspermia theory? Let's get into that. This is panspermia. From the Greek, means pan, meaning all, and sperma, meaning seed. These people are spreading a sickness. So it's a form of spreading the dark side, okay, which is the same theory of panspermia. The hypothesis that life exists throughout the universe, distributed by meteors, asteroids, comets, planetoids, and spacecraft in the form of unintended contamination of microorganisms. Now, I think all this is BS. I think this will be the mechanism by which final disclosure happens. They're going to convince everybody, along with the evolution theory, that this is how aliens got there. And this is some kind of how they were spread all over the universe. And that's why, you know, this new alien disclosure that happens, they're gonna show us some very vile and disgusting looking demons. They're gonna try to pass them off as, you know, through the process of panspermia, we spread across the universe. And some of us don't all look like each other, but it's all a matter of perception. So you might think we look gross and disgusting, but actually you look gross and disgusting. Can you see how all of this is starting to fit in with the theme that is being pushed upon us? And I'm not so sure if part of this disclosure was a disclosure of the Satanism that is rampant, as much as it is them disclosing who is perpetrating this, which are like the fallen ones, the terrors of our world, the people, the darksiders, okay, the people that fully embrace, love Satan and Lucifer and the whole ball of wax. So I'm not so sure if the two are going to go hand in hand. Alien disclosure and disclosure of their evil, trying to normalize it. This is interesting because the whole thing about panspermia is all about a ping-ponging effect. And I believe this is where they get this ping-pong concept, okay? Because a ping-pong ball is like a flying... Think about that for a minute. Think about ping-pong ball, spermia, the bouncing about and knocking off of the god pan, which is the peel, which is the name of the paddle that you used to take pizzas out, but it also looks like a ping pong paddle. Are you starting to see how there's occult levels of the game of ping pong? But I can tell you that they call meteorites bouncing off of each other ping ponging. I didn't name it that. They did. It says Cosmos also introduced the idea of interstellar panspermia, which magnifies all the challenges associated with the inner solar system's planets playing meteorite ping pong. Okay? Meteorite ping pong, bouncing off of one another. These planets. Now, pizza is even involved in this concept of panspermia. They're saying the primordial soup may have been dried on hot rocks or in evaporated pools to become a primordial pizza, where spontaneous polymerization would have been favorable. So now we got all of the elements. Okay, comet, ping pong, pizza, panspermia. This was the spacecraft that they said that landed on a comet. This is what they're seeing. This is called Philae. It landed on a comet. And they're referencing panspermia here. And they were doing testing on it to test some of these concepts. Now, what they found by landing on these comets and stuff and testing them is that they found certain components for life, or this is what they're telling us. Again, I don't know if I believe all this, but what they're telling us is they found components for life, microorganisms almost, mainly amino acids. So this is the whole concept here. Pseudopanspermia argues that the prebiotic organic building blocks of life originated in space and were incorporated in a solar nebula from which the planets condensed and then were further and continuously distributed to planetary surfaces where life then emerged. So this all goes back to a theory that opens the door for evolution. Okay? This goes back a long way. 5th century BC, Greek philosopher Anaxagoras. Panspermia began to assume a more scientific form through the proposals of Jan Jacob Berzelius. So this concept went back before Jesus was born a man on earth. So this goes on. Here's some of the history of panspermia. They also talk about the different missions that were sent to land on these comets and exactly what they found, or what they say they found. And more often than not, it was some kind of amino acid. They're calling the building blocks for life, right? Now, this Philae, they're saying, landed on the actual surface of this comet. I don't know how that could even happen when these things are flying through space at tens of thousands of miles an hour. At least that's what we're told. And then the thing went dark. It ran out of power. And then they said that they, of course, couldn't figure it out. Thing never turned back on. Now, let's look up the Philae obelisk, after which that craft was named after that landed on these comets. So we're told. The Philae obelisk, ancient Egypt. Obviously, this is phallic imagery. So, Philae, phallic, and it's an obelisk. And the whole concept of panspermia is basically seeding the universe through ping pongs, right? Now, let's read a little bit about this, because I hadn't included this, because obviously that was from a long time ago, and I didn't go down that rabbit hole back then. What it says here, it was discovered in 1815. And it was then brought to England, where it still stands today. And it says that the inscriptions on the obelisk played a role in the decipherment of ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs. It was actually originally one of a pair that stood at the East Pylon Temple of Isis at Philae. The other obelisk of the pair was broken into pieces in antiquity. The surviving obelisk consists of a long shaft topped by a pyramidion and a rectangular base. The bottom of the shaft is a modern restoration, including the modern base. It stands roughly 7 meters tall. There are two inscriptions, a hieroglyph text on the shaft and a Greek text on the base. So, obviously, there's lots of innuendo here going on with this, and that's intentional because that's what it represents. The first half of the Greek text was only painted in red color and is not longer visible. The second half was inscribed. So they've got these inscriptions on there that date back before the time of Christ. Cleopatra looks like was when this thing stood in Egypt. So anyway, that's everything I had on this channel regarding comets. And as you can see, pretty much everything we talked about is now coming to pass. Or at least they're telling us it's coming to pass. Let's go back into the chat. What a show, you guys. Now tomorrow, the season finale of True Detective Season 4 with an almost identical theme to everything that we just talked about. The undead reanimated by an ancient pathogen that was thawed out of the frozen permafrost. That will be tomorrow's show. Let's go into the chat here. Good morning, everybody. Full circle. Absolutely. But this is why it's so important. You know, those of you that have been on the journey have seen the miracles on this channel. But those that just pop in, they go, what are you talking about? What are you on about? Why are you talking about Tlaloc? Well, that was the fire and ice. Right? What are you talking about? Comets. Nothing ever happens. Well, it was all pointing forward to this comet and this eclipse. There were even Trump clues in there before he even thought about running for president with all the sevens everywhere. And this is what it means to walk in the Spirit, right? To walk in the Holy Ghost, in His will. I listen to Him, not what other people tell me I should be doing with the channel. So, all right, back in the chat, you guys. Good morning. So it'll be interesting to see how all this plays out, you know, what they're going to say or what they're going to do, but they're setting this up for an alien pathogen. That's where all this seems to be heading. Now, there's a particular doctor that I mentioned on yesterday's show. I'll just go ahead and give you his name if you want to look him up on Rumble, but I can't tell you what he talked about because that'll get us in trouble. But his name is Dr. Brian Ardis, A-R-D-I-S. He has some very interesting things to say about snake venom. I'll just leave it at that. That seems to tie in into a lot of our work that we've done here. Where does Hail Bop fit in? I don't know if we were tracking the comments after that kind of, so I don't think we went back to Hail Bop at all. Sabrina Wallace, I don't know who that is. Yes, the Ice V or Comet V. Yeah, that's what we called ice on because it looked like a V pyramid shape. And I think I said Fifth Age in that 2013 video that we did. I think I mentioned V, the Fifth Age. Am I going to grow a garden this summer? Yes, we are going to grow a garden this summer. Yeah, for those of you that don't know, her name is Rhi, R-H-I, and so that's what we'll call her. I kind of want to keep her, you know, personal information anonymous at this point. But we're going to be starting to do some videos together of the ranch and starting the garden stuff, and she is my wife, and so this will add another very awesome side of the channel. I was never meant to be alone. I can tell you that right now. But, if you go through a couple of really bad relationships, you get, there are some pretty specific things you're looking for, right? That really no one kind of fits the bill. And, but she absolutely fit the bill. She's so excited about the ranch. That was one thing that was really important to me. It was someone who would want to be here with me full time, like a real marriage where we're together, and that they embrace the concept of a ranch and a homestead. That was very important to me in finding someone. And, she's definitely a Proverbs wife. And the only logical conclusion for me, because I don't want to live in sin, was to be married. So, man was not meant to be alone. I know there are a lot of differing opinions about that. But God, when Adam asked God for a helpmeet, and it does say helpmeet in Genesis, when he asked him for a helpmeet, God granted his wish because he knew that it was not good for man to be alone. So that's where I'm at. And we're looking forward to doing some videos together. It'll, like I said, you'll hear her and, see her feet like you see my feet, and hear me when we're on the ranch. But I'm learning to kind of protect the more private things in life, because there are some really mean and nasty people out there that can try to sabotage, anything good in your life. And that's just the enemy speaking through people. And so, we have to pray for those people that are negative and mean and evil. But also we have to protect the good things in our life that we have. Right. And so, yeah. I've also seen, YouTube couples, they get on camera and then it changes the relationship somehow. I don't know how to explain it. I'm not criticizing those people who do that. It's just, it can be a lot of pressure on a relationship. So. Max does not live with me right now. He hasn't been here for a while. So he has not met her. Yeah. So he's back with his mother. Max is back. He's been there for about, I guess, 9 months now, 8 or 9 months. And he's working, he got a job as a mail carrier in North Carolina. Very proud of him that he's, living his life. He makes good money, and he gets to kind of choose his hours. And so that's what Max is up to. Max was with me for about 2 years, and I got to spend all the father time that I wanted to with him. And I was blessed to have that as a young adult. Yeah, I don't want to go too much into, her personal private life. I'll let her do that if she decides to when we're doing our ranch videos together. All right. Well, I guess I'll pop off of here. I love each and every one of you guys. Thanks for hanging in there. I know that the editing was really lame back then, and I wasn't as focused. As you can tell, I've kind of fine-tuned. We've just been doing it for so long. I guess, you get a little bit more efficient at it. So you've probably noticed that in my communication. So, yeah, thanks for sticking it out. The message was there. I love each and every one of you guys, and I'll see you tomorrow with True Detective Season 4, the season finale, and it's all about the undead and frozen pathogens. All right, you guys, have a great rest of your day. Take care.